Hello ladies, it's wonderful to be with all of you. My name is Ilana with an I and I'm from Edgemead Morning. Well, I don't always look like this when I leave the house, but these days we have to grab hold of every opportunity we can to dress up a bit. Our topic for the month of June is the wise woman builds a house, and I'm going to be sharing with us about building in the season that we're in. The preacher in Ecclesiastes was indeed a very wise man when he wrote Ecclesiastes 3. It speaks about there being a season for everything. There's a time to keep and a time to cast away. There's a time to mourn and a time to dance. There's a time to tear down and a time to build up. There's a time to embrace and a time to keep from embracing. This passage is such a true representation of our lives because as women, we always go through season changes. Sometimes it's a season of marriage or a birth of a child. It can be a job promotion or a retrenchment. It can be a season of loss or sickness or depression. It can be a season of incredible joy and breakthrough. The wise women recognize the season and build accordingly. It reminds me of a time in my life when I went through a season change. It was 9 years ago when our first child was born, and Matteo and myself left the hospital on the Tuesday, and the Wednesday I was sitting in the nursery busy feeding him and still learning how feeding works, and he was learning how latching works, and as a new mommy, everything was very new to me. I realized that it was time to leave for community, and I started to feel very overwhelmed because I didn't know what to do. Do I carry on feeding him and then be late for community, or do I put him in his car seat and go to community and feed him there? And what if he doesn't drink enough milk, or if he doesn't sleep well? I was very confused and I started crying, which doesn't happen often. And my husband came into the nursery and he said to me that he's going to go to community and that I must stay home and settle Matteo there. And the next day we will talk about the way forward. So the next morning we spoke and we decided that for the next 5 weeks I will be staying home in the evenings and settle Matteo and get him into his new routine. And after that, all of us will go to community. And because Matteo is used to a routine, it will allow him to sleep at the different homes where we are at and actually give us space to be with the people at community. Looking back now, I realized that sometimes when we go through season changes, we know it intellectually, but we want to go about business as usual. But season changes require different ways of building. Sometimes it means that we have to build with a slower pace. Sometimes we have to step up our pace. And sometimes it means that we just do things a little bit differently. I also want to mention that with building differently in our seasons, there's no recipe and there's no formula, and there's definitely not a one size fits all. Because one person did something a certain way doesn't mean that I can take that and apply it exactly the same to my season. I have to ask Jesus how he wants me to build. The Bible says that there's wisdom in the counsel of many. So it is not only just a good idea to get perspective from leaders around us, but it is wise. Looking back to that time in my life, I also realized that sometimes when we build differently, and especially if our pace is a little bit slower, it can feel that we're taking steps backwards. But the truth is that Jesus is always busy working. He's always busy extending his kingdom. And if you and I are part of it and we're working with him, it's not going to allow us to just take steps backwards when we go through a season change. He is definitely busy doing something in us. And the bigger picture is that he's also busy fulfilling a purpose that is not yet seen. I want to encourage each one of us to keep our eyes fixed on our master builder and to ask him for wisdom, because he promises that he will give wisdom to everyone who needs it. Let's take that wisdom and apply it so that we will be wise women who build well in every season.